Hi everyone, this is Lindsay. Thanks for stopping by today. I'm super excited to be participating in a special blog hop for Kelly. She is the genius behind Casing Genius, and I was privileged enough to be cased by her a couple months ago. So the cards I just showed you on my phone were some that I had picked to be inspired by, and I was very inspired by her use of watercolor, her bold black sentiments, which I always seem to gravitate towards myself, and obviously her use of bold color. So I'm watercoloring a panel here. This watercolor paper is fantastic. I got it at Hobby Lobby. Kay Miller uses it, and if you know anything about Kay Miller's work, it's amazing. So this paper is amazing too. It just works the color really well. I can swirl it around. And it has that bright, crisp whiteness that I really like. I still like my Tim Holtz watercolor paper, but I find this has a little bit more tooth and texture, and I just really like it a lot. So I'm adding Twisted Citron and Mowed Lawn to my panel here, and I'm only going to do this top portion. And then I'm going to heat set it quick, but not all the way because I don't want it to curl. So I'll heat set it a little bit and then set it aside. So now I'm going to stamp out Avery L's Christmas Floral stamp set, and I have the matching dies. And I'm going to just stamp out a bunch of the big flowers and the poinsettia, the big poinsettia and the small, along with some leaves for my flower. And I'm using Altenews crisp inks. I bought the little ones. I feel like I'm an ink hoarder, and I have a million big, huge, giant ink pads, and I couldn't quite justify buying the big ones, so I opted for the little, just so that I can say I'm not totally over the edge, even though I am. So I used Ruby Red for my flowers, and again, I'm just stamping them off. I started with the small flower, and I point out here that when I start stamping it, if you're new to stamping, your stamps need seasoned or they need to be stamped off a couple times. You'll notice it's a very, very splotchy. I didn't get even coverage, and I'm not going to get a good impression. So I'm stamping it off on the side of my cardstock here multiple times, kind of get that ink to saturate into the photopolymer. Once I do that, I can stamp it, and you can see the difference. It's completely saturated and covered. So I stamped my flowers, and they were solid and crisp. And again, I love these inks. They're just fantastic. So I took the little seed part and stamped it in, I think it's the Warm Sunshine. And then I'm going to start stamping my leaves. I was considering doing the rock and roll with the leaves, but I figured to just keep them plain because I didn't do that with my flowers. So I'm stamping out the twigs and also the other type that's in there. I don't remember what it's called all of a sudden. So I stamped both of those out, thinking I would use both of them on my card. And as you'll see here, after I die cut them all, I trimmed them out all the dies with my wire cutters. And once I have done that, I just use a little bit of washi tape to hold them in. And once I've finished die cutting them all out, I am going to stamp my sentiment. And I'm using my Misty because I'm using watercolor paper for this panel, and I know from experience that if I try and stamp this with a regular block, it is going to not stamp thoroughly. So in case that doesn't happen with this watercolor paper, because there's more tooth to it, I'm going to be able to stamp it again. And I noticed that it was pretty crisp, but there were a few parts that were kind of splotchy. So I'm going to stamp it again. I just close the lid and press firmly, and I will get a really nice, bold, crisper black image or sentiment. So once that was done, I adhered it to my white card base with a piece of fun foam, and this fun foam is fantastic. It's so cheap, And I've really cut down on buying the Scotch, which I love. I love the 3M Scotch foam adhesive, but I've definitely saved myself a lot of money by using these craft sheets. I think I got a large sheet at my local craft store for, it was really cheap. It's like under 50 cents or something. So I'm now realizing, as you can see, that I didn't like the two different kinds of leaves. So I'm restamping the poinsettia leaves again. And I'm using the, I don't think I mentioned the Forest Glades and Evergreen inks from Altenew. And I just totally stuck my fingers in it. And I was starting to get in a hurry. This video was taking like an hour. And my husband had taken the kids, they were coming home, and I'm hurrying, and this is what happens when I hurry. I totally stick my thumb in ink, and then luckily it did not transfer to my project, but that usually happens. Not lying. Okay, so here I am just fiddling with this and trying to find a layout I liked, and then I started to adhere it down to permanently adhere it to the panel, just using my stamp runner. And I finish it off with some pretty pink posh clear sequins. No card I feel is ever complete without those. They're so fun. And I just used some glossy accents to adhere those, which I love that I put it in a fine line bottle, transferring that because I can get precise application. It's handy. So as I do that, I just wanted to take the time and thank Kelly for casing me and for her series. She's so incredibly talented. She, her watercoloring, her Copic coloring, everything is just phenomenal. And I hope that you hop along. All the other ladies that she has cased are in this blog hop and have cased her. So I hope that you'll stop by all of their blogs. I have the list on my blog if you want to hop along and follow and see how everybody else was inspired by Kelly. She is definitely one talented lady. So I hope you've enjoyed my project today. And again, be sure you stop by the blog. And there are prizes, sponsors for this blog hop. So please leave the comments and hopefully you'll be one of the winners. Thank you so much for stopping by today, and we'll catch you again